see, we will just give another, I just wanted to say we'll get another couple of minutes so everyone joins, since we have a very high response rate. So just a couple of more minutes and then we will begin. Okay, I think we should commence. We've been waiting a few minutes because we are aware that we have participants from different parts of the world, and thank you so much for responding in such a high number. We are very happy to commence with the CLM Library online launch. First of all, my name is Jelena Božinovski from ITPC Global. I'm working in Watch What Matters strategic focus area on community-led monitoring activities across the globe. A lot of names here I already recognize. I'm happy to see some new names. So thank you all for joining. And as we are waiting for our colleagues to join, I would like to quickly go through our agenda and then mention some housekeeping rules so it's easier to flow through this webinar. So first, our colleague Solange, who's our executive director, we give a few sentence remarks, and after that, my colleague Krista Lauer, a little bit about the evolution of the library and how we came to be here today. And after that, our colleague Rain Cortes from Global Fund will also give a few remarks, since she's the one who has been involved from the very beginnings of the library. And then agenda should be seen here, but it's not sharing, so maybe some technical difficulties. And then our wizard, our magician behind the library, Emmanuel Simon, will give us a brief tour. Yeah, he's here. Will give us a brief tour about where can we find different briefs, different tools, different resources that we all collaboratively worked on and updated so far, and touch upon a little bit about where are we going next, about the development, where's our vision for the library, and of course the utilization and how can we all make it as rich as possible and use it as much as possible. That's our ultimate goal at the end of the day. And in the end, Krista would close with final remarks, and we will ask you, if possible, to switch on your camera so we take a group photo. Just a few more housekeeping rules for today. Please use the chat box to introduce yourself, so your name, which organization you're coming from, and which country are you based in. We would like to know that. And also Q&A box, please use the Q&A box for any questions, comment, remarks that you might have during the tour. And then if we don't answer right away, we will answer when we come to the Q&A session of the library. And lastly, please raise your hand. Yes, if you have any question. I see already one hand raised. Maybe you can also yes, I will give to this the raised hand right after we finish. One more thing I wanted to say: we have a French interpretation today for our Francophone colleagues. So yes, thank you, Gloria. Now we have our slides for the intro. You see the interpretation, little kind of globe. You can click on two options, English or French. So you can choose the channel, which language you want to listen the webinar. So without further ado, that is from my end, but maybe we can give the hand to Evergiste Bisanuk, since we have this hand raised. So Evergiste, can you please let us know what is the pressing matter? Hello, you are allowed to speak. Can you please let us know? Or maybe it's a mistake. Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon. It was just I
think we can proceed. I think that was a mistake.
Okay. Maybe you can write.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, thank you very much for being here. It was just maybe want to introduce myself also. I'm Evergiste Bisanuk, as you see my name. The instruction have been received. I got right in the chat. And
Okay.
sorry for the distraction.
Perfect.
So,
no worries. We will address it in the chat. Thank you so much. Once again, welcome to the CLM Library launch. Over to you, Solange, for a quick intro, and then over to Krista and Rain. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good day, good morning, depending on where we are. I am noting that it seems as though the chat is not enabled. So we need to make sure that the chat is enabled, because people are now using the Q&A to introduce themselves. So that can be something that we can just do in the back end. It's a quick fix on our side. So yes, it should be enabled now, and everyone should be able to say hello and introduce yourselves. And in that vein, my name is Solange Batiste. I am the Executive Director at ITPC. I am based in South Africa. I sit in Johannesburg. I'm originally from Trinidad. I'm very excited about today. It's one of our sort of shining moments to be really at the finish line, or at least the starting line of a new milestone in terms of the CLM library. So we have been working on community-led monitoring for a while, and with many other partners have tried to think about where do we put all the stuff? Where do we put all the gold that we have got out of our lessons learned and doing things a few times and then figuring out one kind of important thing and writing it down and putting up documents and tips and tricks in different spaces and lessons that we have learned through case studies, etc. So we're really happy to share this space with you as a sort of a hub. And I wouldn't say much more because I know there's many things that people will want to reveal and discuss, but I just want to say that I'm incredibly proud of this moment of coming together with partners and being able to have this space that can be fully open access to be a sort of a hub to complement our clmhub.org space with the library chronicling work from across the globe. So thank you very much, Yelena, and over to you guys.
Thanks, Solange. I'll pick up right from here. Hi, everyone. My name is Krista Lauer, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. I am the Citizen Science Lead at ITPC. I'm a Canadian who's currently based in the United States on the West Coast. And thank you all for joining us today for the launch of the CLM Library. We are really excited to bring this together. I lead the strategic area of work on Watch What Matters within ITPC, which includes community-led monitoring. So before we walk you through a digital tour of the library and how it works, which I'm sure is what many of you are interested in today, I just wanted to speak briefly on a couple of topics. The purpose of the CLM library, and also a little bit of the history of how we came to this moment in launching the library. So first of all, the purpose of the CLM library. As the field of community-led monitoring grows, as more stakeholders enter the space, some of you might be starting to implement CLM for the first time. Others might have been implementing CLM for a while and are looking for resources on methodology, on tips, on tricks, on technical guidance. There may be some of you looking for resources on troubleshooting or improving programs, ways to share some of your reporting or scholarship on CLM. And for all of these purposes, the CLM library is really designed to be a go-to resource to find all of that information. So if you're working to help prepare programs to implement CLM, this is where you start. The CLM library should have all the tools and resources that you need. And it really came from an initiative to try and make sure that all of the scattered resources are more centrally organized and easier to find across a number of publishers and providers. So what is the library technically? It is a digital library. It exists entirely online. As I said, it's an aggregator of resources. It's bringing lots of resources together in one space, and it's organized into key topic areas with links to the resources themselves. So for instance, if there's a publication by UNAIDS, you will click on the resource link in the library. It will take you to the UNAIDS website. So it's not all housed just within the library. It brings you to the source of the original publisher. And secondly, just a little bit more about the history of the CLM library. So ITPC created and launched a CLM hub in 2022, and that is clmhub.org, the first part of the website that you see on the screen behind me. So yes, there are two resources that are different. There is the CLM hub, and today we are launching the CLM library. The CLM hub is a series of technical documents, implementation toolkits, and other resources with the goal to help prepare programs implement CLM with a high degree of rigor and to share the methodology that ITPC has developed over the last decade or so worth of implementation. So all of the materials written on clmhub.org were written and conceived by ITPC. But as we all know, there are many, many resources beyond what ITPC has written on implementation, on recording, on outcomes, and it was always our intention to find a way to share those resources beyond what we ourselves have written. So hence the initiative to gather this wider range of documents into the CLM library. And then near the middle end of last year, there was a confluence of events. Our partners, the CLM coalition of ATAC, IANASO, and APCASO, some of whom are able to be on the call today, received some support from the Global Fund to conduct a review of existing CLM references, resources, and literature, and to compile a sort of CLM library. And when the review was complete, there was a question of where should this library exist and where should it be posted? And with support from the Global Fund, they reached out to ITPC to see if there was a possibility of building the CLM Hub out further into a CLM library. So this was always part of our roadmap, but it sort of catalyzed action to move this up in our timeline to help build out the library. So thanks to support from the Global Fund, the build is now complete. And the only documents you'll find today that are on the shelves per se so far are those that make up the review that were conducted by ATAC and IANASO and APCASO. So thank you for all of your hard work and your vision to bring those resources to life. We know that there are a lot more resources in addition that have been published recently, and that many more are going to be coming online, especially before the International AIDS Conference happening this July in Germany. So we're going to speak more about opportunities to post other resources as well, coming up a little bit later in the call. So we will have some remarks right after me by the Global Fund, but just to let you know that a tour of the library is coming up next. We're going to explain to you how it works and how you can access the documents, and of course, how you can get help with your implementation, programming, research, and advocacy. So really excited to have you all here with us today and to bring the collective work together. And without any further ado, I'm going to hand over now to Rain from the Global Fund.
Thanks, Solange. Thanks, Krista. Apologies for being under the weather. My voice is not its best state. So I'm Rain Cortez. I work with the Global Fund Community Rights and Gender Department. I currently manage the Centrally Managed Limited Investment on Community-Led Monitoring under the Centrally Managed Limited Investment, or CMLI. I'm based in Geneva. I'm originally from the Philippines. I'm still enjoying the warmth of Manila. I'm currently Manila time zone, but returning soon to cold Geneva. And I'm privileged to be here to be part of this launch. It's been several months, if I may say, of the development of the CLM library. And this came from the idea way back in 2021. We had two strategic initiatives that were providing technical support to different grants in the Global Fund. We have the Community-Led Monitoring Strategic Initiative, as well as the Community-Led Monitoring, specifically for COVID-19 response mechanism grants. And we are using these two strategic initiatives to be able to complement each other and to support as much grants that we have. And part of those technical support that we are providing through our technical assistance provider, the CD4C consortium led by ITPC Global, the CLAW consortium led by HealthGap, and the INASO ATAC APCASO consortium as well. Part of their task was to develop different CLM resources. And I know this is to address the gap of different areas that has not been provided with the technical guidance that is easily understandable to community representatives, that is produced by a civil society or community-led organization. And these topics range to data analysis, data management, decision-making, advocacy, conflicts of interest, how to budget, even CLM for CCMs, CLM for PWD programs, and also for data collection. And part of those resources were also adjusted and adjusted to be able to include COVID-19, because it was done and created during the time of COVID-19. And as we know, we are past beyond the COVID-19. And those resources were developed, and we were thinking of how to host them. And initially, we were thinking that the initial idea was sort of a pandemic e-library to be able to source it. And we didn't want to limit ourselves because everyone was moving away beyond COVID-19. And we had this idea of a broader compendium of resources, which initially was being led by the ATAC, INASA, and El Caso Consortium. As we wanted to think of sustainability, as we know, COVID-19 response mechanism is not forever going to be there. We have been extended up to 2025, but we don't know the future of the C19RM as we already shift towards pandemic preparedness and response. And we see the opportunity working, of course, with ITPC Global and consulting different TA providers to be able to develop the CLM library. And as mentioned, we want it to be somehow a one-stop shop for community organizations, CLM implementers, program implementers to be able to access these different resources, easy to understand. Some have complementary, some will have complementary training manuals as well that can be used into different events or your programming or your technical assistance to other providers. And as the Global Fund transitions to the strategy of pandemic preparedness, we also hope that the future resources that are being developed on CLM that will gear towards pandemic preparedness will also be hosted in the CLM library. And we do hope that community, civil society organizations, and program partners be able to access this. And if there are other plans from technical partners in doing a similar CLM library or a compendium or a website, we hope that we can complement each other rather than replicating efforts to ensure having a one-stop shop. So with that in mind, I'm very glad that the launching is happening now. I know that there will be further improvements to the CLM library, and we appreciate feedback and comments even from the people that are attending here to actually how to improve the CLM library. And that's what we are looking for. So thank you for the opportunity and looking forward to the tour, to the virtual tour as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rain. And now over to our wizard, Emmanuel.
Hi, everyone. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I am Emmanuel, joining you from Johannesburg, South Africa, and extremely thrilled to be opening the doors to the library here today with the rest of the team. I think everyone's already shared so much context and background that I think all we have to do now is see it and go to it. So if you haven't already gone to the web address, I will share my screen and we can do this together. All right, there, it looks like I'm live now. Okay, so once you've put the address into your browser, library.clmhub.org, and you go to the page, what you should see before you is the front page of the library. As was mentioned a number of times, one of the real goals for us was to make this as simple to browse, as simple to use, as simple as it would be if you had the files on your own desktop or in your own online storage. So away from the headline right there in front of you, aligned into 4 major categories that part of the CLM approach of ITPC around education, evidence, engagement, and advocacy. The resources that exist in the library have already been filed according to their parent grouping. And you see them listed here. I'm trying to slow this down to really stretch it out because it's actually very simple and very straightforward. And you'll see we'll get through this pretty quickly. And at the bottom of the page, just a quick blurb about the library. And as we've been saying, this library will continue to evolve and grow over time, not only in resources, but I think also in terms of features and capabilities based on your feedback. So launching this to you, it's not being launched as a completed, finished product. It's actually an invitation for your collaboration now as users, as contributors in of what this should look like and grow to be. So once you see these items here and they are continually loading more and more, you could be overwhelmed at how many they are. But if you wanted to just look at one, just click on it as you get over it, and it should load that page for you, bring in all the details and the information on it. So for every resource, every document, every presentation, soon every video or audio that is housed here, you'll be able to then dig in and learn a bit more about it. A brief description of what is entailed and contained in the resource, how it's been filed as a category, when it was published, how we see it as a resource type. In this case, it's a guidance standard. In some cases, particular territories are identified. So it might be both regional, it might be country specific. But a lot of the ones that are there right now are generally global. The language of publishing. So I'll go back out to the main page and you'll see that in a second. But we have resources in, I think, 5 languages so far. So English, Russian, French, Spanish, and Portuguese, I believe are the 5. And then the topics, and this would help with search because you may not always know the title of the document you're looking for, but it may be a particular topic. And you can search for this on the homepage to find a topic of interest. And then lastly, who submitted the article, who submitted the resource. And I think that was important just to distinguish between who actually wrote the resource, which is up here in the green area underneath the title, versus who submitted it to the library. And yeah, that is pretty much your review, your preview of any resource that's on here. And I know what you're thinking now. You're thinking, okay, you've shown me a lot about the resource, but how do I actually get to the resource? And that's simply by hitting this blue button here, access the resource. And when you do that, you'll be taken directly to the file, load it up, where you can then download it, print it, chat, talk to it, whatever you'd like to do with that resource, wherever it's hosted. Right, so this is one of those from CASA and ATAC and the rest of the team that I've put together, and it is housed here. All right. I think, we're already 80% through this demo, but I'll show one other thing, 2 other things to show. I think I'll show one other. So in the event that you came here looking for something specific, but you don't know the title, for instance, I'm always interested in digital tools and how they're being used for CLM, etc. I remember there's a green document for it, and I need to find it. I can simply come and begin to type, tools, because I know it has something to do with tools. And all of the resources that are presented to me now have been filtered to only show me those that reference tools, as you can see in the screenshot or down here. This is the one, the green one that I was looking for. Unfortunately, I only speak English, so I can only access this one here that I'll be able to understand. Here I can again see the details about it. And then when I'm ready, go ahead and access the resource. And boom, there it is, loaded up and available for my use. All right. The last thing I will mention is that the library, like we've said many times, is incomplete because it needs a lot of your contribution, not only on resources you'd like to see here, what would be helpful for you as you develop, as you train your team, and as you make your own CLM projects a success. But just overall feedback, we always want to know what you're thinking and how this resource is being helpful for you. So in the top right, you will see, send us your feedback. And I just want to point that out specifically so that you make sure and click whenever you visit and let us know how we're going, how we're doing. So it's a simple form. You just let us know how we're doing. We have a few areas. If something's not working correctly,
Nous avons plusieurs domaines, donc
what you really like, what you'd like to see more of course, if you want to request a new feature. I'll talk about publishers in just a sec, but if your organization has documents, has resources you'd like to see added to the library, you can identify that here. Also, any particular resources that maybe you did not publish or your organization, but you think it's of real value, has either already provided value for you or your project, then go ahead and add it suggested here for us, or any other feedback, and then just let us know who you are a bit and submit that, and that will get to our team. All right, so that literally is it. That is where we are. This is your CLM library. Please come try it out, access it, enjoy. Yeah, I think that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. That was very to the point and straightforward. And Now, I think we have sufficient time. This was very, very efficiently utilized, the first section. So we have sufficient time to answer any questions and clarities, comments, concerns. We already have a few questions that have been raised in the Q&A section. So this would be the moment where if you would like to ask the question verbally, please raise your hand and we will unmute you. Maybe just before we start opening for the questions verbally, I would just like to ask Rain from Global Fund. There is a question from Robin asking us, thank you so much for this incredible resource. My question is to the Global Fund. How is and will the Global Fund promote the uptake of this resource and add to this resource within Grant Cycle 7 and beyond? So thanks, Rain, over to you.
Thanks. Thanks, Elena. Thanks, Robin, for the question. So as we know, we are currently in the Grant Cycle 7. Many are already beyond the funding request, and many are into the grant making phase already. And what we have been doing before, when many of the country teams are looking for technical resources, especially in budgeting, for example, or in key areas in how to address specific gaps of their CLM programs in many of the countries, what we do was always to refer to the resources developed by our TA providers, whether it's from the CLM Library, whether it's from the CLM Hub, or from the website of Health Gap, or from the website of the ATAC, INASO, and ATAC resources. And with the launch of the CLM Library, that is what we are going to use now. So we will make sure that we are the advisors from the CRG department who gives technical advice, not only on CLM, but in broader CRG issues, will be able to share these resources or make use to share these resources to the country teams and to the PRSR to be able to access it. We will encourage a lot of, there will be further developments in terms of promoting and outreaching to be able to access or reach out to different community-based organizations, led networks, or organizations to be able to add also their own resources in here. So it's in our pipeline to make sure that we are promoting the use of the CLM library and to make sure that people access that not only in this Grant Cycle 7, but in the future. As mentioned, we also hope that as we develop new resources that will be related to pandemic preparedness and response in relation to CLM, we will make sure to also have this site to be able to promote and make use of those resources as well. So, but of course, what we do is we will usually internally from our end, we'll make sure that is being promoted by the within the secretariat from different teams, not only from CRG to the grant management team, technical advice and partnerships, and to the broader secretariat to be able to make use of these resources internally and externally as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rain. Okay, let's move to the hands. We see if our colleagues from Tanzania, Gesonko, have his hands raised. Hi, Gesonko, nice to see you. I think, yeah, you are permitted to talk now.
Okay, thank you very much, Jelena and the team. Good evening. In Tanzania, it is in the evening because it is 5:30 in the evening. My name is Gesonko Paul, the chair Malaria Network in Tanzania, and a member of CCM, the Tanzania Country Coordinating Mechanism, though we have the ruling party by its name CCM again. So the CCM I'm referring is the Country Coordinating Mechanism. My question is, first, I want to congratulate that you are able to organize this good meeting to bring us together since we left in South Africa for malaria CLM meeting. So thank you very much. Congratulations, and let's keep it up. I am aware that in the meeting, we did not have enough resources or enough evidences from the participants that are practicing CLM with malaria component. I think you will agree with me that there was no enough evidences on malaria CLM. But again, as I have seen here, there is a Global Fund always support HIV, TB, malaria. And I want to appreciate that there are so many initiatives being carried outside there to ensure that malaria also becomes vibrant. But what I'm not sure of, it is on the issue of accessibility of the resources. Will it require that the one must have an internet bundle or to access, or you can Global Fund will be able to support? And then even its accessibility should be free. Even when one is offline, is able to access the CCM, the CLM resources. That's one. Two, in regard to the accessibility and the evidence that was recorded that there was no much malaria practices, will it now the library accommodate, because I'm sure that countries now are struggling to establish in their back in their countries, assuming now they collect evidences like the clips, videos, will there be a place where maybe to lodge such resources that anyone can be able to access? Or will it have a YouTube whereby we are able to access videos and the best practices being narrated by members that maybe are practicing malaria CLM intervention? Another question is on the support to the dissemination, because not all networks, CSCOs, community-based organizations are aware of the CLM hub or the CLM library. Will it be there resources to facilitate network in specific countries or regions to support at their local regions to ensure that now CLM library is open for everyone and it is disseminated, including to the smallest community-based organizations? Because I'm trying to think, if we are not disseminating even into local community-led organizations that we think will be practicing it, then we might lose the real meaning of community-led monitoring. And if we are focusing that the community, then we should see a way, definitely, how we can support those vibrant NGOs or community networks to ensure that this dissemination of this online library is even diverse, reaches even to the grassroots. So that's my my hunches that I would wish to understand. Thank you very much. If I have anything else, then I will come back to ask.
Thank you very much. So there are multiple questions here asked in one. So maybe I can refer to Emmanuel for the technicalities of load shedding and this issues that are a reality of our lives, right? Any comment on that end, Emmanuel?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that question. I think the realities of accessing it and being able to maintain that access are ones that we are not only aware of, but we've tried to make decisions to support that in many ways. One of the things that we have done is ensure that when we link to the resource, most of the resources, I'd say 95% of the resources thus far are PDF files. So the implication of that, I would say, is if you use a library when you need to be online and you can access the resource, at that point, you can then download that resource to your local device, your local machine. So if you had to make a choice of how you need to use your data and how much data would be needed, etc., or when, then I would recommend in those cases, get onto the library, do your search really quickly. You shouldn't need a lot of data for that. It will only load what is needed. And then once you get to the resource, you load the resource. You can then choose to download that file, and you'll have it offline for your usage as you need to do that. Additionally, we are thinking about the way to kind of make this operate a bit more like an app, where you can have it saved on your home screen of your phone or your computer. And this page loading with all of the images and stuff, once you've accessed it on your phone once, it will save. And unless things have been updated, you'll get that the next time you're online. But I think that would also be another step that we are hoping to make soon, to aid on the having to be persistently online to be able to use the library. So I think the first one and the most direct for right now would be when you get to the resource, download it, and then you can use it offline as you need fit. And then stay tuned for features like that kind of PWA, that app approach, that will allow you to use it offline.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I would like now to give over to Krista to answer a few other questions that were addressed by Gesonko. And I believe on the videos uploading, that will be, we are starting point now, and we will have future versions. I don't know if Emmanuel want to give a quick comment on that before Krista takes over to address the other points.
Sure, I'll just say, so we've started with documents, we started with presentations and slides. Our vision includes videos, includes audios, includes activity sheets, includes trainings, includes workshops. I think the principle we're operating is we will point to the resource where it lives. So what that means is if you have a video that you've created on the best way to do this in your local country or based on your organization, if you are one of those publishing organizations, you would then provide, along with the details, the link to that resource. So the link to that video, if it's on YouTube or whatever. And then once we put that, people can come here, look up the video, see the information about it, and when they click access the resource, it will then take them to wherever that video is. So if you have it on YouTube, it can take them to that YouTube video, etc. And I think that's going to be the approach. So it won't really matter to us or for the person on their phone that they would need to be downloading the sides of a long video or an audio or other sorts of files. You'll have the control to decide what you want to download, how you want to view it, because we'll be sending you to where it actually lives and it's housed based on who produced it.
Thank you, Manuel. Krista, over to you.
Yes, great questions. Two quick answers with regard to sharing the library. There was also a question in the chat about, can we post the address of the library elsewhere? Please do. Please share this library. We see it as a public resource. The site is behind me right here, library.clm.org. We also will have social media posts on Twitter, Facebook, other social media channels after this that we encourage you to retweet, to share with your teams and networks so that more people are aware that it exists. With regard to the malaria resources, thank you for raising that. We have posted as many as we could find in the initial scan. We know there are more out there. So for those of you who are interested in becoming a publisher, I do want to speak to that. We want to grow the body of work that's available on the library and point readers to the kinds of information they need. We have to also ensure the quality of the documents that get posted. So we don't have the resources for a full-time CLM librarian, and this has two implications. The first is posting frequency. We can't post new documents every day or even every week. We're going to do batch postings at key calendar dates, and we will let you know what those are so you can plan accordingly. But the other part of it is that ITPC doesn't have the resources to review absolutely every recommended document to ensure the quality and the rigor of what it is. So what we will do is delegate authority to trusted partners who will vouch for the documents that they recommend for posting. So there will be an opportunity for interested organizations to apply to be a publisher to the CLM library. And once you're approved as a publisher, then you'll be able to submit resources that you recommend to be included and posted on the CLM library. And that means if you recommend the document, the site that houses the document is responsible for managing it. So for example, if there's a typo in a document that someone sees that needs to be updated, wherever it's originally posted, that is where it will need to be fixed. It doesn't sit on a website with the library, it sits where it's originally posted. So we will happily provide the link to help people find that document, but it will be managed by the original person who posted it. And then over time, we'll build out some additional features. So I will stop there. I know there's lots of questions coming in. Over to you, Yelena, and if possible, maybe we could try to answer a couple of questions at the same time. Thanks.
Yes, we have one more hand. I would like to allow Ramon Olarinvaju to speak up, and then the rest of the questions we will try to answer in Q&A, maybe recap in the end. Ramon, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
I just did it now. Hope you can hear me now. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, so my question is directly, so anybody can actually put the question. So, sorry, I joined late. So I want to know this online library, how is it going to work? So how do you intend to, manage? Because if everybody is, dropping information, how do you want to ensure that we verify information so that we know that whenever we are getting resources from the library, we are getting well verified document from the library to inform program in our various countries. Then also, how do you want to also ensure that we are, because me, I'm a youth advocate, and I like to speak up for the young people, so wherever I find myself. So now, one of the major challenges so far is that, I don't know, maybe in other countries, but in Nigeria, I've not seen any CLM that is specific for youth-led to actually see the accountability from the youth perspective. And I think this will have, help a lot of people that want to program for young people. And when you look at the population of the world currently now, the youth are the most populated group in the world. And if we are talking about community leads, that the youth community, how do you want to ensure stability from that? Is it that you guys will up to like maybe get some kind of maybe data that can be used on the lab for anybody that want to program, that maybe anybody that want to design or program for young people to actually have a better perspective and understanding of, around transparency and accountability in uptaking of services among young people across, countries. Thank you very much.
Krista, over to you.
Yes, hi. Thank you for raising that. I think we're excited that young people are working so hard on CLM and that there's a lot of energy, including around accountability. My general answer to your question is that the resources that you have developed, we encourage you to apply to be a publisher and to share your work with others. We also know that there are youth-led movements around the world that have been working on CLM. We've provided some technical assistance support to some youth organizations and consortiums in Asia Pacific. So we're really hoping that the library is a place where you can find resources on CLM for, say, in your case, youth that might be implemented in other regions and countries in the world, and that can apply to your learning as well as the cross exchange of you sharing your experience on CLM accountability in the context of youth with others. So the more we post, the more we exchange, the more we share, the more we will all learn. So thanks, and please apply to publish.
Thank you, Krista. Yes, we really welcome contribution. And there are some, Solange is also sharing in the chat some resources available. Please, you can read on the chat. But as we are growing, as we are developing, we will be happy to expand. Ramon, is that your question answered, or you have another one? Your hands is raised. Maybe it's just you forgot to put it down. Okay, yeah, thank you.
In the meantime, there have also been some important questions that are already answered in the chat. So if you click on the bottom part of your screen under Q&A, there are a number of different channels. One of them is answered questions, and we encourage you to look there in particular in case you wanted to see if your question has been answered or to read the questions of others. There was a question here about translation that I do think is important to note. One of the colleagues, I'm sorry, I can't find it right Inosa Malomo wrote, will organizations be allowed to adapt and translate the tools from the library into their local languages? Please do. If you have the resources and the wherewithal to be able to find a document you find useful and to translate it into a local language, please do. Knowledge is power. I would ask that if you manage to translate it into a local language, please try to resubmit back to us so that that translated document can be shared more broadly and posted on the library so that, for example, in Malawi, if you translate a document into Chichewa, we would love to put it on the library so that others can read it as well. There were a couple of other key questions in here. I'm not sure, Yelena, if there are some that we should...
One on dissemination, that we are actually very open source and we are counting on all of you to disseminate, to spread the word towards your governmental partners, donors, counterparts of the communities. So that's definitely very welcomed, in line with the translation to the local languages. So that's also has been asked. You can post the links to your respective websites. So it's very, very open source, and we would like to spread the word as much as possible. What else? I think there was one follow-up question from Robin. Oh yeah, more of a comment to Rain for the Global Fund. Thanks so much, Rain. The Global Fund is a leading funder for CLM. It would be great to also explore how the Global Fund can help elevate CLM data to the level of policy change, perhaps during CCM meetings and program reviews. So suggestion from Robin from the Global Fund as the most extensive donor in CLM world. So yeah, those are the main questions. Let me see if you have more hands.
Yeah, there might be one other one that I just wanted to read aloud here. Will you be adding in a section, for example, case studies or by diseases that might need to be understood according to the focus? Please give us your feedback. The CLM library is an evolving space. So there is a search function now. But if, for example, you think different classifications or categorizations would be helpful, like by geography or by disease or by focus area, please don't hesitate to give us that feedback. It's an evolving space. We will continue to build it out in different ways. So if you can think of a way to organize it that would be most useful to you and your community of advocates, please don't hesitate to let us know. And we're just going to continue to evolve the library based on needs.
Yeah, any feedback welcome to any of us here present at the call. Solange has her hands up. Hi, Solange, over to you.
Oh my goodness, I hope I remember all the things. So the first thing I wanted to just find out, did we explain how a person can publish? Like what's the process? I may have missed that, or maybe it's already said, but I know it was said by a few of the panelists. If you would like to, please apply to publish. How does one do that? The second point I wanted to make was regarding the case studies and the comment that Krista just, to build upon what Krista just said, everyone comes to a site looking for the thing they want. So if you're working with people using drugs, you're looking for people using drugs resources. And so I think we've tried to tailor the search engine, if you will, as much as a filter kind of tool. But if you're trying to find something, because we don't know exactly which lens you're coming. So we had a conversation about youth. We had a conversation about people using drugs. I think was a question there. If you come up with something to search and it's not bringing up anything, it may point to something in terms of the library, in terms of keywords, but it might also point to the fact that there aren't resources currently on that. So it might point to a need that we need to develop or try to create specific resources. For example, people with disabilities. I'm not sure if we have something on that, or in humanitarian contexts, or for hepatitis, viral hepatitis. So I'm not sure which, that kind of feedback is super helpful because it might tell us where there's a need. And then the question that's in the webinar chat, and it's not only to me, but maybe I can kick off with a potential answer it's a tough one. So what do you suggest for countries without donor resources or donors or resources for CLM implementation? And I mean, I think the CLM library is a place to be able to make the case for what kind of work can be done if you do have community-led monitoring in your country. So I think there are two options. Do the best you can without resources, use funds from a different space and kind of do it on an ad hoc basis on the side. I know this is being recorded, so I can't really say much more than that. You can be creative, but at the end of the day, I think it's to build pressure and show that this is a win for your national government or for your country to engage with the multilateral donors that do have resources for implementation, get it into the Global Fund applications, into the PEPFAR spaces, and any other French 5%, depending on, I'm not sure, we're across the globe here, not just in Africa. So what other potential donors might be there to put that pressure on? I don't know if others want to add, but yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Solange. Just mindful of the time, we have 3 minutes left, and we would love to continue this conversation. It's very interesting and informative, even for us that have been part of it. Emmanuel, if you can please, just for the end, tackle upon the issue that the question that Solange brought up. I know you have been through it, but let's recap on how to submit a resource.
Sure. So once you're on the web page, top right, so you'll see this up here where it says send your feedback. Up in this corner, you simply click that link. When you do that, it will open a form. And here you can tell us the details, what you're looking for, or if you'd like to become a publisher, etc. Put the information about that here, info about becoming a publisher, our info. And then you simply select here, inquiring for my organization to become a publisher. If you do that, then it will be triaged directly to that stream to be addressed, and then your information here. If you just put it in a general or a other, or you fail to select, I'll change this so you have to choose one. Then it might take a bit longer to be looked at and addressed. So be sure to select inquiring for my organization to become a publisher, and give us the info, and then the team will reach out to get that in the process for you. That's it.
Thank you very much. So with this, we will try to answer a few questions on the chat itself, but over to Krista for final closing remarks and photo time.
Yes, before I finish the final closing remarks, I would love to ask all of you if you would please, if you're able to turn on your camera so that we can take a group photo. This is something that I always forget to do in these meetings. So we have a good meeting and then we have no documentation that it exists. So I would love to invite all of you who are able and interested to turn on your video cameras for a short moment, and we can take a group photo of all those of us who have been gathered here today. And while we are in the process of unmuting, I just wanted to thank everybody one more time for joining us today, to remind you all that this is really an evolving space. We love the energy that you've shown here today, the opportunity to share the library widely with others. Please apply to be a publisher so that we can add even more resources to this. Sorry, it looks like there's a thing in the chat. There is no option from our side to use the cameras. Oh, it might be disabled. I apologize if that's not possible.
We're in a webinar, so
Yeah,
I'll promote.
same from my end too.
Yeah, just promote everyone to panelists.
Promote everyone to panelists. Is that something you can do, Jelena, while I continue to offer the closing remarks? It's an evolving space. We learn as we go. Yeah, but just to say again, we really hope that this is something that we can all share. And we know that there's a lot of publications that are coming out soon, especially for those of you. I wanted to speak about the International AIDS Conference this July. Many of you, I'm sure, are working toward that date. The abstract submission just closed a week and a half ago. So many of us were rushing to put our content in. So as we get closer to the AIDS conference, we will definitely have a few key dates that will be opportunities to publish on the CLM library website. It won't be sort of a week before the International AIDS Conference, so please check your inboxes for our announcements and be ready to have your resources ready to go and publish so that you can help give a bigger platform to all of your hard work and so that others can see it. And as the library continues to evolve, we hope that we might be able to garner some more support and do more regular batch publishing moments, maybe as much as every month, not just every quarter. And that will really help share more and more resources with all of us. So with that, I realize that we're a few moments over the line. Do we have sort of as many videos enabled as possible, Yelena, or do we need a little bit more time to get faces available?
So I am promoting people to panelists, but it's going slow. I don't know, Gloria, if you managed to do like, one click, but let's see if we can get a critical number of beautiful faces to take a group photo. Thank you, everyone. I would like to thank also Gloria for coordinating and helping me in organizing. Yeah, I think we are kind of good for now.
Yes, as Yelena continues to post as many of you to panelists as possible, thank you all. Thank you to the Global Fund for the support. Thank you to ATAC and IANASO and APCASO for the review of documents. And thank you to the ITPC team who has put so much into this. And thank you to all of you who have written and published resources that are now shared on the library and the ones that will be shared soon as you apply to be publishers and to get it out there. We're really excited to get more of this scholarship into the world and to have community expertise and community leadership really at the forefront of what we consider the library for this movement. So thank you all. Without any further ado, please consider smiling or whatever face you would like to put forward for the photo. And we will go ahead with 1, 2, 3. Thank you. I hope Yelena and Gloria from the side, if you can confirm if we were able to take a photo or two, or
Yeah,
if we're just smiling at each other.
No, it's good. It's good. We took photos. Thank you so much.
Everyone. That's good to see you.
Thank you all very much. Stay tuned and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Don't try out the library now. Just go, try it out. Let us know.
Go to the library.
Hey, Yelena.
Hi, Michelle. Hi.